So hey guys, this is just my weekly meeting. I'm gonna move a little bit fast. I'm not home and my internet is a little iffy, so I'm gonna move fast. And as always, I'll post my PowerPoint so that you have it in my notes. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and talk about what we're doing this week. Um, the first thing I want to do is also say I got your papers. It usually takes me a little bit of time to move through essays, so give me a week to a week and a half to get your papers back to you. So just kind of look out for them. So this week we are doing, if I go into week 5, you have a couple of things to do for me. You have a quiz on I Say chapter 5, which is on Thursday. And you're also going to do an introduction paragraph for essay number 2, which is due on Thursday, just an introduction paragraph or two, not the entire paper. And then on Sunday, you have your gradable discussion. You also want to take a look at MLA format and citation, which goes more into it, like how to set up an MLA paper. So just look over that in preparation for the full draft of essay number 2. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get right to it. Again, my internet's a little iffy. All right, so the first thing I did is I changed the question a little bit because the question was a little bit, it wasn't really clear what I was asking you to do. So here's a new question. Meaningful work is a term that Gladwell uses often, both in Rice Paddies and Math Tests, as well as Marita's Bargain. Rice Paddies and Math Tests is chapter 8 of Outliers. You really want to pay attention and annotate that this week because you needed to write your introduction to this second paper, as well as Marita's Bargain, was just chapter 9. If you can get to this week, then please do so. But if not, at the very least, read and annotate chapter 8. So here's a question. Consider what Gladwell means by this term, meaningful work. And this is what you're answering for me. How does meaningful work in each chapter lead to overall success? That is the focus. So the first thing you want to do is brainstorm. You want to read the chapter and then brainstorm. What does Malcolm Gladwell say meaningful work is? What do you think meaningful work is? What would be the criteria for you? What's the criteria for Gladwell for meaningful work? And then second, what's your own criteria for meaningful work? And if you brainstorm that, that should get you a good foot in the door in terms of your paper. So I want to go and I want to talk about your essay itself. So a 5-paragraph essay a basic essay structure doesn't change. It gets longer, but it doesn't change. So you can stick with this original structure. So for your introduction, you can kind of do what you did the first paper. You can go through your attention grabber and then your summary and your thesis. That's fine. So this is just a reminder, paragraph 1 in your attention grabber, summary and the thesis, 3 body paragraphs, and then you can always add more body paragraphs as needed. You don't for this paper. And then paragraph 6 is the conclusion. So again, this is, some reminders of choices you have for attention grabbers and introduction strategies. It just kind of explains summary, right? I'm just erasing what I don't need, sorry. I go over summary format for you. I remind you of what that is. But I want to spend a little bit of time on thesis statements here. So remember that a thesis statement should answer the essay question. It should provide a clear map to your reader about the essay or your essay, right? Like this is what you're going to see. And you also want to remember that you want to brainstorm before you write. So here are some examples. Meaningful work leads to overall success because people must be autonomous, engaged, and dedicated to their goals, right? Meaningful work leads to overall success because it is often inspiring and it has real-world applications. These are 2 different ways to approach this essay question, talking about like what meaningful work is and how it leads to overall success. The rest of this is just going over some body paragraphs. Here I provide you with an outline, and I will post this that you can look at for a body paragraph where I talk about, how people have more freedom. Meaningful work kind of requires people to have more freedom or to be more autonomous. So I'll post this PowerPoint, but for this week, you're only doing the introduction. So again, you can write me an attention grabber and then your summary and your thesis statement. that is cool. However, if you want to kind of do some other stuff with it, like the more choices you have, the better you are. So you can also choose to kind of structure your introduction in this way. So I'm in week 5 and I'm clicking on how to write a better introduction. Now, this is a choice. You can stick with attention grabber, summary, and thesis. If that feels good to you, then stick with it. This is another option. And either they're both equally correct. It just depends on how you want to approach the paper. So for this one, you're looking at, it's called a Rogerian argument. So a Rogerian argument, it kind of begins with, this is what most people say, right? This is the problem with what most people say, and then this is what I say. And so it's an example here. So for the beginning of your introduction, these are the steps. The standard view is what most people say. So most people consider meaningful work to be yada, 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 whatever you think that the standard view is, right? Or whatever Malcolm Gladwell says the standard view of work is. And then you're going to say, so maybe not meaningful, but the standard view of work is, right? That people, you have to, most people think of work, you think of you're doing a job that you don't like, or a job that is not important to you, or something that's boring or tedious, right? I think that's probably the standard view of work. And then you can kind of go in and say, okay, so, but this is the problem with the standard view, right? It's not inspiring. It's not going to lead people to, to step fully into their lives, or whatever the case may be. And then from there, you go into your thesis. You can probably hit this structure. This is the standard view. This is the problem with the standard view. This is my thesis. You can probably hit that in a paragraph. So if you are going to use a structure, and you just want to make sure that you follow this outline closely. So again, you can use this structure, or you can go back to that PowerPoint, and you can just use the standard attention grabber, and then the summary of the text and the thesis statement. It is completely up to you. So again, this week, a couple of things. You have the They Say, I Say quiz. That's due Thursday. You have this introduction. You get a choice, right? You can do the attention grabber, summary, and the thesis statement, which is what we did for the first paper. Or you can do that Rogerian argument, where you can do the standard view of work. This awful, it's tedious, it's yada, yada, yada. This is the problem with the standard view. And then this is your thesis. Just make sure you refer to that outline and modules before you do so. And that's all that's due. And that's due Thursday, and then you have the discussion. So I'm going to stop my share. My internet is a little bit spotty this week. I'm going to try, I'll be around for my office hours, but if I can't jump in, it's just because my internet is spotty. So if you need to talk to me, email me before you try to jump into office hours, just because I'm not home. So my internet is a little shady. So again, not a lot of work. Take your time this week. Read the chapter before you begin, and I think you'll be fine. All right, take care. If I need to post something else, I will, but I think this is the only video for the week. Take care.